All right, fun and games in the 8250. Okay, we got a demo day going on. Unfortunately, they couldn't source a header with this, so we had to drop the header off of Dad's combine, so we're not going to be running 3 combines. But we are going to run an 8250 with the automation, which should be cool. In I think it was 19, it might have been 2020. Actually, it was probably 2020. We demoed what was it? A New Holland CR 9.90, 9.80, I can't remember. I think it was 990 with the automation, and it came with a 45 foot, like an FD 145, and the long auger and everything. And boy, was that an impressive unit. So we're gonna see how this stacks up. But this guy stacked up pretty comparable to Dad's. Dad's got the 8240. It's got the hydraulic hopper topper, the actuator on the auger. I think they're both good for 40 feet. Big difference on the back is that the 50 has gone back to the old style horizontal spreaders. Apparently guys are finding a little more even job out of them. And Dad's has the offset. This has a few more features around the automation than the 40, and this one's also got an air kit just for blowing out. There's a lot more things that are adjustable and tied to, and can be adjusted from the cab, and most of those are tied into the automation. So like, you can adjust your vanes, you can adjust your pre-cleaner, both of which on the 40 series, the vanes are fixed. You can adjust them, but you have to get out, use some wrenches, fiddle around. You can adjust them from the cab, and actually the automation will do it on its own, as well as the pre-cleaner. The pre-cleaner you have to do off the back. Let's list off everything that's controlled by automation as far as what the tech has said. Where to start? Fan speed, rotor speed, vane position, pre-cleaner, top and lower sieves, ground speed. I think that's it. Pretty sure he said the only thing that isn't controlled by the automation is your concave gap. Dad's gonna take it for a snort. We ran, like I said, we ran that New Holland one. It had the CVT transmission. I'm like 99% sure this one's got the same thing going on. So he'll pick it up pretty fast. We just moved the, what's it called? Climate field view puck in there with an iPad, and I gave him my handheld radio. So that's all good to go. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I really like the automation. The cab is very similar to Dad's. You know, they changed, instead of having 4 gears, they have 2, which I really like, and then they have high-low in the middle so that you don't have to stop and change. They also have a couple minor changes. You can change your vanes from the cab, and your pre-cleaner, which is that one over there. Everything else very similar. We got out, we scratched around earlier, seeing very little losses, like less than a bushel for sure, which is very important. I really like, it takes a bit of getting used to the automation, but I really like it. I like having more information easier to see. So this is essentially 2 pages, almost 3 pages put together because of this picture. Like, we can't adjust the vanes on ours. We used to have one that had a lot of, I should look at Dad's, maybe I will, but these have more options that show as far as your rotor speed, your rotor clearance, your fan speed, your pre-cleaner position, your vane position. It's at very slow right now. Your top sieve, your bottom sieve, your engine load, your instant yield, your throughput, so bushels per hour, your moisture, you've got cross-track error, you can adjust all your settings. You know, I would probably tinker and change some run names and this, that, the other. Other than that, like, it's got a lot of the same stuff, just in different places. I was wrong earlier when I said I thought, well, technically I was right. I said I was 99.9% sure, but I'm wrong. I thought this had a CVT drive like the New Holland, where you kind of push forward, and I really like that New Holland one, because when the automation was off and you bumped it, it wasn't as jerky. It would be a lot smoother. It would just say, okay, well, this is where we are, versus it wants to return to, if I have it here and let's say that's 2.5 miles an hour, and then I turn on the automation and it goes up to 5 miles an hour, and then for some reason I want to slow it down. If I pull back on it a hair, it really lurches. That's really the only downfall about it right now. It's really, really nice to know that, you know, I'm getting a really good grain sample. Probably not quite as good as what the Mad Concaves would do. I've been very impressed with that. But the automation does a phenomenal job. You're always keeping this thing full, as long as it doesn't need to go over 5 miles an hour, and you can change that. So you can limit your engine load, your losses, your this guy here. So if I touch on that, it's got 4 different categories. Best grain quality, which means it's gonna drive in a way that's gonna make sure that you have the least dockage, least white caps or chaff in there. Performance is what we're on, and they say that's the kind of the best of everything. It's gonna go, and that's gonna depend on what kind of strategy. And I feel like there's still room for improvement on this, but it's really good. So it's gonna make sure you have, it puts weight on everything. Weight on grain quality and your throughput and engine load and this, that, the other. So we're gonna keep it running in performance. Well, I'm not gonna change anything. But that's where I said, oh, max 5 miles an hour and target max 80. They said they initially had it at 90, and it would like as soon as you hit a lighter spot, it would really want to launch you forward, so they dialed her down. But I really like this display. I just wish that it had a small GPS map somehow in there. I'm not thrilled with these old school horizontal disc spreaders. I think they probably do a more even job, but they also don't go as wide. So if you had 40-foot heads, like, it's struggling to get to 30 feet in my mind, let alone 40. Like, it'll throw it hard off the side with the wind. But if you can see out there, it's not even getting 2 feet wider than the tires over there. So we're gonna have streaky lines. I want even coverage, even though we're gonna come out and harrow this. I have a few things I really like about it. A few things I'm not sold on yet, but I like where it's headed. And The rest is kind of, well, it's the same as the 8240. I really like that you can change the vanes and the pre-cleaners from the cab. I think that is long overdue. Another thing I really like is the white LED lights. They are stupid bright, like ridiculously bright. The ones at the back actually need to be pointed down more because they are blinding to the grain cart driver. I really like this interface where you can see a lot more of what's going on, and the split funnels I really like. I also really like the way you adjust things, as far as you tap on your broken grain quality and you just say what needs to happen and it adjusts. So if you say, oh, there's way too much, it'll make a big adjustment down. If you say more is allowed, it'll make a little bit up, kind of thing. So I really like that, rather than kind of you're just tapping 2, 3, 4% at a time. As far as the automation, I like it. I like where it's headed. I like the idea of automation. In my mind, and this could just be the what things are set at right now, because we haven't got too into customizing the automation, but is that it doesn't react fast enough. It lets way too much time go before it makes adjustments to your speed. I also think a really good operator would beat the automation, at least as far as how things are set right now. It's quite efficient on fuel. Seems to be doing really well. I like that they changed the transmission from a 4-speed to a 2 high-low. I really don't like the horizontal disc spreaders. I think it's a step backwards. Cab layout, still pretty good. Oddly enough, I wish there was more, maybe a couple more functions on the handle. I did like the New Holland CVT transmission when we demoed it a few years back. I think I liked it just a little more, the way it mixed with the automation. But there were some controls I didn't necessarily love with the New Holland. Oh, and I really like that there's big heavy duty bars on the feeder bar now too. So, as far as the 8250 goes, for the most part, I really like it. There's not a whole lot that has changed between the 8240 and the 8250, but I really do like the changes that they made.